The tight end position in football has been fascinating, as there have been a couple of huge names with guys like George Kittle and Travis Kelce, but there's a tight end who just had a monumental rookie season who is the future of the tight end spot. His name is Brock Bowers, and he's one of the best players in football right now after he had a tremendous career at Georgia in which he lit up the score sheet and pretty much dominated each and every game. While Bowers was a big name coming out of high school, ESPN scouts actually listed 3 tight ends who had more potential or who they thought would be better. In today's video, I want to introduce you to the 3 tight ends that were ranked higher than Brock Bowers, go through who they were, why they were ranked so high, and ultimately a few years later, what happened to them. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's get started and talk about the 3 tight ends ranked higher than Brock Bowers. So let's first talk about Bowers himself. He was one of the top tight end prospects in the class of 2021, as coming out of Napa High School in California, he was the son of 2 Utah State athletes. Brock was immediately one of the better recruits to come out of California, and he put a lot of big numbers on tape, especially during his junior season in 2019. He was capable of being a big-time player, and his first official offer came from Penn State, which is known for producing big-time tight ends. Other schools started to come in fast and hard after that season, after he put up over 1,000 yards and 14 touchdowns as a junior. His senior season was canceled due to everything going on in the world, but that didn't stop teams from being interested. He was considered an 83 rated tight end prospect according to ESPN, and was considered the 4th best tight end in the entire class. Bowers would end up signing with Georgia, where after some injuries in front of him, he was immediately the starting tight end for them over guys like Arik Gilbert and Darnell Washington. He made the most of it, as he had over 882 yards and 13 touchdowns during his freshman year. He would then follow that up with 942 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns his sophomore year, and despite missing 3 games his junior season, he still had 714 yards and 6 touchdowns. Bowers ended up becoming a first-round pick to the Las Vegas Raiders, and he was a unanimous All-American, and won the Mackey Award for the best tight end twice. In his rookie season with the Raiders, he ended up finishing 3rd in the NFL with 112 total catches, tied for 8th in receiving yards with 1,194, and then also had 5 touchdowns. That number was a little bit low, but Bowers ended up dominating the NFL as a rookie, and is definitely the future of the position in the league. But what happened to those 3 guys who were supposed to be much better than him? Well, the first guy we're going to talk about is Michael Trigg, who was the 3rd ranked guy. He ended up coming out of Seffner, Florida, and that's in the Tampa metro area. He was rated as an 83 prospect from ESPN, and he went to Seffner Christian Academy. At 6'4" and 210 pounds, he was also a bit of a project player. But given his size, a lot of recruiting services wondered if he'd actually be better at receiver instead of tight end because of his both size and athleticism, and he's even recruited by Division I teams to play basketball as well. He ended up earning his recruiting status after an unstoppable junior season in 2019, where he had 82 catches for 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns. He transferred from Seffner to Carrollton Day High School for his senior season in 2020, where he had 30 catches for 586 yards and 5 scores in just 7 games. ESPN considered him the 26th best prospect in the state, and he ended up committing to USC over some other schools in the South, like Bama, Auburn, and Georgia. Georgia was in on every one of these top tight ends, and ended up quote-unquote settling for Brock, who ended up being the best of all 4 of them. Upon getting to USC in 2021, Michael instantly became one of the most interesting offensive prospects in Los Angeles. Despite there being concerns about his size and whether or not he could bulk up enough to be considered a tight end, he was one of the most electrifying receivers on the team. Then head coach Clay Helton said, quote, "He has an advanced body and an advanced skill set," but the main interest came from tight ends coach Seth Doege. Coach Doege said, quote, "He's the type of talent that needs to be on the field early, but he's got to put in the work as well to learn the plays, which he has done. I think that's something he's kind of concentrated on this camp and throughout the summer, and this will allow him to play. At least he'll go out there and play fast and know what he's doing." But at some point during the 2021 season, he stopped being able to put in the work. He finished his freshman year with just 7 catches for 109 yards and a touchdown, behind Malcolm Epps and Eric Cromenho on the depth chart. After just 6 games in one season, he decided to enter the transfer portal and ended up following his quarterback Jackson Dart to Ole Miss for 2022. Despite Lane Kiffin being very excited to land Michael, he didn't have that much of an impact as a sophomore, largely because of another transfer tight end in Caden Priestcorn. Trigg recorded just 17 catches for 156 yards and 3 touchdowns, playing in just 7 games for the Rebels that year. With Ole Miss in 2023, Michael only managed to play in 3 games before entering the portal a second time to find another team. In those 3 games, he had 4 catches for 65 yards and 1 total touchdown. In 2024, Trigg decided to transfer over to Baylor, and he finally became the #1 tight end option for the Bears. He ended up having 30 catches for 395 yards and 3 touchdowns, and given some more time in the system, he could become a top target in the Big 12 as he has a couple more seasons of eligibility left, but so far, he has not reached Brock's level. First, let's hear a word from today's sponsor, MyBookie. The 2024-25 football season might be wrapping up here shortly, but if you have a strong conviction about a certain team winning, go ahead and head on over there. This season, MyBookie is pulling out all the stops with incredible promotions like a weekly risk-free boost on Thursdays where you can bet without a sweat. If your bet hits, you win big. If it doesn't, forget it. MyBookie will refund your wager. But that's just the beginning. MyBookie is giving away hundreds of thousands in prizes with their Super Survivor and Square contests. Get your entries now in for your shot at huge cash rewards. When you're ready to get started, be sure to use my promo code Fisher50 and make sure to get some extra cash on top of your first deposit. If you type in Fisher50, you'll get up to $1,000 in a welcome bonus bet plus a $10 casino chip. MyBookie's tiered bonuses make it easy to deposit with crypto or with credit, and the bigger your deposit, the bigger your bonus. The bonus would be 100% match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. With MyBookie, you can bet on anything, anywhere, at any time, and make your season a winning season. Be sure to check out my link down below and use my promo code Fisher50. Okay, so number 2, we have Jake Bringenstool. Coming out of Brentwood, Tennessee, ESPN considered Jake an 86 rated tight end and the top prospect overall in the state of Tennessee. He caught the attention of nearly every big-time program in the South during his time at Ravenwood High School, as he would finish with offers from Bama, Georgia, Arkansas, Kentucky, Florida State, Georgia Tech, and Texas A&M, amongst others. He used his 6'6", 230-pound frame and good speed and ball skills to have 774 yards and 12 touchdowns as a senior, but started to make a lot of noise on the recruiting trail as a junior in 2019 when he caught 47 passes for 857 yards and 9 scores in a year where Ravenswood reached the 6A state championship game. Despite a late push from Michigan State, where his dad played linebacker, Jake would end up signing with Clemson in the class of 2021, finishing his high school career with 1,955 yards and 22 touchdowns. He graduated early and enrolled at Clemson in time for spring practices, and he had a lot of hype. During Jake's freshman year, he sat behind guys like Davis Allen and Jalen Lay, and he played mostly on special teams for 8 games, but did find time at tight end as well, with 3 catches for 67 yards and a touchdown. His sophomore year in 2022, Jake became the primary tight end on the offense, coming out in 2 tight end sets with Davis Allen. He played in all 14 games and caught 25 passes for 285 yards and 4 touchdowns. It wasn't until 2023 that Jake got his chance to be a starting tight end, as Davis Allen went off to the NFL and was picked by the Rams. Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney said, quote, "Jake's been ready to be the guy since he got here. Sometimes it's hard to be patient, and Davis Allen's pretty good, and I think Jake wanted to be the guy, but he wasn't ready to be the guy. He just wasn't maturity-wise quite there yet, and physically wasn't quite there yet either, but he was still able to be a productive player for us, and now he gets to show it." In his first year as a starter, Jake caught 50 passes for 498 yards and 5 touchdowns in 13 total games. He was listed as a third-team All-ACC selection because of that, and he's actually Clemson's third leading receiver for that year and third amongst ACC tight ends in terms of receiving yards. He'd make third-team All-ACC once again in 2024 with 530 yards and 7 touchdowns. He'd set Clemson's record for receptions by a tight end with 127, as he ended up breaking Jordan Leggett's old record of 112. He said, quote, "There have been a lot of great tight ends that have played here, and a lot of great tight ends on the team now, and it's a pretty cool accomplishment, but I'm ready to keep going." He declared his intent to join the 2024 NFL Draft, and he has announced he will be participating at the Senior Bowl this year. He enters a really strong tight end class, with guys like Penn State's Tyler Warren, Michigan's Colston Loveland, Bowling Green's Harold Fannin, and LSU's Mason Taylor. Pro Football Focus has him ranked as the 12th tight end prospect and a projected 5th or 6th round pick. Bringenstool has been really good, but just not as good as Bowers. Okay, so our final guy is Kane Barong. Coming out of Hartwell, Georgia, and attending Hart County High School, Kane was exceptionally strong and fast for his size at 6'5", 225 pounds. He was actually Georgia's original tight end prospect to target during that class, and if the Dogs had signed Kane, they probably would not have pursued Brock as much as they did. Like Brock, his senior season was canceled due to everything going on in the world, but he did have a great junior season in which he caught 43 passes for 486 yards and 4 touchdowns. Part of what made Kane a higher rated prospect than Brock, who was faster and had a better high school tape, was that Kane was perceived as a solid player who now had a very high ceiling. That got him interest from a lot of high-level college football programs known for producing good tight end prospects. His first major offer came from LSU, and before long, most of the SEC had offered him a scholarship, including Georgia and LSU, who led his list of SEC schools. But the school that won him over the most was Brian Kelly in Notre Dame, who had a very rich history of developing NFL tight ends. He said, quote, "I also like the tight end tradition they have, and I know they can challenge me academically and athletically. When I was up there, I felt at home too, and it's just a good fit for me." But the tight ends coach that he built a relationship with in Chip Long left Notre Dame before he got to campus. Notre Dame shifted offensive coordinators a few times before he got to campus in 2021, and despite the changes, he did get playing time as a true freshman at Notre Dame. It just wasn't good playing time. Michael Mayer had started to break out as Notre Dame's top pass-catching option, and since he was just 1 year older than Kane was, the path to the field for Kane wasn't all that great. In 3 games of snaps in 2021, he recorded 0 stats and redshirted for the upcoming season. The next year would be even worse for him, as he nearly missed all of 2022 with a season-ending knee injury after he tore his ACL at practice in October. The only reason he was on the field for the game against Virginia Tech was because Michael Mayer was nursing a hip injury that required rest. The other top backup tight end option, Michael Bowman, was also out with an injury. In that one game, Kane was not targeted at all, and for the second straight season, he recorded no stats as a redshirt freshman, spending most of his time on special teams. After the season was over, he decided to enter the transfer portal and ended up at Coastal Carolina at the start of the 2023 campaign. Despite being ranked as the highest tight end on the team for the Chanticleers, Kane once again was beaten out by Kendall Carr, Matt Alamo, and Brooks Johnson. Part of the issues were injury related once again, as he was on and off with injuries throughout the year, but in 2024, he finally made his way to the field again as tight end 2. He finished with 12 catches for 145 yards and a touchdown, but unfortunately, it looks like he never really recovered from that ACL tear and lost his step after that injury. He's set to be the Chanticleers starting tight end this fall in 2025, but due to poor timing, injuries, and maybe just being a little bit overrated, Kane Barong will go down as a bust. So yeah, there were 3 tight ends ranked ahead of him. You had Kane Barong, who ended up being a bust, Jake Bringenstool, who ended up being a really good player and will be a draft prospect, and then you have Michael Trigg, who has just been okay and could blossom in 2025. Bowers is one of the best tight ends we have seen in years, and he should have a really long NFL career and probably make a lot of money and catch a lot of passes. But that's what happened to the guys that were ranked ahead of him. What do you think though? What do you think of Brock Bowers? Who should I do a video like this for next? And also before you go, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.